Should we stop free charging? Hello, Grumpy here. Should we dump the free charge? There are basically two ways to get free charging with your EV. Firstly, it might come with free charging, either from the manufacturer or an agreement with a charging company, maybe using some sort of charge card or an app. You're usually limited to the certain charging network, say with Tesla. If it comes with free supercharging, you're limited to the Tesla superchargers. Then there are free chargers scattered around the world that you can just roll up to, plug in and walk away without having to worry about paying. And it's this latter option that I want to talk about today. These are mostly called destination chargers, and they charge at around the 7 to 11 kilowatts. But there are still a few fast DC chargers that are free to use if you can find them, though these are starting to charge a fee now, or some of them that are still free very, very soon. These free chargers, they're usually put in place by businesses such as shopping centres as an inducement for you to use their facilities rather than the competition down the road. And sometimes what appears to be free frequently isn't, because you may have to pay for parking. But a few years ago, there weren't all that many EVs on the road, certainly here in Australia and here in Perth, Western Australia. So chargers were not in high demand, even though there weren't very many of them back then. Now we're starting to see that upward slope of the S-curve with EV sales. For example, here in Western Australia where I live, when I first got my EV, which was a Tesla Model 3, this is going back 4 years now, and I had a plug-in hybrid before that, there were only a handful of EVs around Perth, and there was only literally in the low hundreds in total. Now there's well over 6,000 Teslas alone here in WA, and there's another 500 to 700, possibly more, en route on a ship heading for the port here, and they'll be here very, very soon. So the demand for chargers is commensurately much higher. Even though they have increased, the sales of EVs have outstripped the increase in charging locations. So I used to be able to go down to our local shopping centre, which has a free Tesla destination charger, as well as a couple of others. And I'd be the only one there who ever checked in on Plugshare. I was the only one. I never saw another Tesla on the road around where I live. Now, when I go down to the local shops, I'd be lucky to get a charge. Fortunately, the centre has replaced some broken Type 1 with a couple of Type 2 chargers. But even so, I find EVs parked on those many times. Like, there's an MG ZSEV, there's a BYD Atto 3, and so on. While we're here, I'd just be grateful if you could do me a big favour, boot that like button below. Doesn't cost you anything, but it really does help me. Go on, I'll wait for you to boop it. Boop, boop. That's great. Thanks very much. Now let's resume normal transmission. So the problem I have seen is how these chargers are free and abused by some people. And it only takes a small minority to stuff it up for the rest of the people. These selfish people make no secret of the fact they're just a couple of EVs around here where I live that park, plug in, and get a lift home. And then they'll come back 3, 4, 5 hours later, car's fully charged, no cost. That to me is abusing the system, because there are other people wanting to charge. So they end up parking there for many hours. They don't rush back. They don't care. It's only last week that one of these notorious free charge abusers, I went to this charging spot because I was going to one of the shops there, and guess what? He was there, and I thought, oh well, I won't bother. I'll go and park somewhere else. But I walked over, he was fully charged. There was another Tesla waiting. So I spoke to the guy. He said, I've been here 10 to 15 minutes and he's not shown, but he's been fully charged the whole time. So I said to the guy, yeah, well, I came here because I'm on about 30%, 29%. And the guy said, yeah, I'm down to 20%. So I said, all right, when he comes back, if you're waiting, you take it. I'll just park and worry about it later. That guy turned up a bit later on. And this other Tesla owner, because I spoke to him afterwards, asked him, look, you're being fully charged. You're not on Plugshare. And he copped a mouthful of abuse from this guy because he felt it was his damn right to charge for as long as he wanted. Well, you see, there's some people are just selfish and don't give a about anybody else. So look, I realise that some businesses and shopping centres want to attract people by way of free charging. What did they do before EVs came along? And how much extra business are one or two free destination charges going to bring to any major shopping centre? Look, I've been shopping at this shopping centre since I moved into the area 14 years ago. And that was well before EVs were on the market and before they'd installed any chargers. So I've been there anyway. And I go there, now they got chargers, and if it's free, I'll plug in and get a little bit. But I've had so many stories like this, and it's getting more and more common. As I've said, it only takes a small percentage of people to create grief for the majority. So, what's the answer? Simples, as one of the ads in Australia says. Start making everybody pay. Doesn't have to be much. Say the same as they would pay for electricity at home. So here in Western Australia, the main rate is 31 cents per kilowatt hour during the day. Depends upon what tariff you're on. It could be as low as 8 cents, but you've got some conditions there where it gets very expensive other times. So if we were to say charge that 31 cents per kilowatt hour, then that would mean that these people might just as well stay at home and charge, because it might work out cheaper if they've got solar like what I do. So I try to charge as much as possible off my solar panels, as my car is doing right now in the garage, plugged in, charging off the solar panels. I also charge at night when my power is cheaper. It's about 20 or 21 cents per kilowatt hour at night. And, I just charge it for a few hours to top it up. That's what I did last night. And of course, let's not forget adding in idle fees. That's really going to pay some of them off. Yeah, poor abusers. I feel so sorry for them. And quite honestly, good riddance to them. Do you think there should be no more free charging? The problem is, you see, if it costs you nothing, then it's got no value. And you can abuse it. So I'd really like to see no more free charges, like those destination charges at shopping centres and so on. I know that some around the Perth suburbs started with free charging, but now they're charging people because they got peed off at people abusing it. I know a couple of businesses, they had free fast DC charging. Fast DC charging at their business premises for any and all to use. And they have now been charging, I don't know, it might be 45 cents Australian per kilowatt hour, because they got so sick of people abusing their good nature. I mean, it just sickens me. It really does. So let me know in the comments below whether you think free charging should continue or be stopped. And if it's going to be stopped, what would be a reasonable fee in your opinion? Comment below, thanks. So just a quick look here at one place in Plugshare. Now this is Penrith, that's over east in Sydney, I think, where they had a Type 2 charger at the shopping centre that was free, and now it's not. They're charging 45 cents a kilowatt hour there. And look at the comments. Was going to charge until I discovered it wasn't free. Nah. Used to be free for a quick charge whilst popping into the shops. Better to pay. Now it's better value to pay 60 cents a kilowatt hour at a fast GT charger up the road. Next comment. No longer free, so I'll be finding somewhere else to buy my coffees and breakfast. Meh, 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 meh. I just wonder how many of these were actually abusers or not. But still, it's just typical sort of attitude from people. Something was free, now it's not. I'm going to cry. Thanks very much for watching. I've left some links below for my Tesla referral and Ko-fi and so on to help me recoup some of the expenses. That'll please the wife more than anything. So don't forget, can you click that like and subscribe button below? Thanks very much. Costs you nothing, but it really does help me. And I'll see you all very soon.